Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I'm Kirsty, and on today's video I'm going to be talking you through all of these books in my December reading wrap-up. December ended up being quite a good month for me. I read 8 books. I kind of wish I'd done 9 because then I would have ended the year on a nice round number of 90 completed, but I'm still really happy that I got 8 books done, and apart from one, they were all 3.5 and above, and it was a really good month. What I've started to do now is to talk through books that I started and maybe didn't finish through the month, and then I talk about the books that I've actually completed. I only had 2 books that I actually started and didn't finish in the month, and they were Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. I only actually got 35 pages in, and it wasn't through any lack of not wanting to read it. It was really good and I was really enjoying it, and it already has a few beautiful quotes. It was more I just had other books that I wanted to get to, and then by the time I got home from Christmas I didn't have enough time for it because I wanted to get Legendborn done. And then we had Red Rising by Pierce Brown, that again I think I got 10 pages in. I've read the first chapter. I'm not yet sure if it's hooked me in enough to want to keep reading, but I still need to pick a mood read for this month, so maybe I will pick this up. And if you're not sure what I'm on about by picking the mood read, I will link my TBR game above that I've launched for this year, or relaunched. So yeah, I might pick this as my mood read, but I don't yet know. So yeah, only 2 books that I started. I also made a tiny bit more progress on an audiobook, but other than that I've not really started anything. But the books that I completed, as always, I'm going to start with my lowest rated and work my way up to the highest rated, and then tell you what the book of the month was. So the lowest rated coming in at a grand, amazing 2.5 stars. We have Meet Me in London by Georgia Tofolo. The writing in this was bad. I didn't like the insta-love. I didn't like the fact that this is marketed as a Christmas book, but it clearly was not a Christmas book. Christmas was mentioned about 2 times. I chose this as part of my attempt to read Christmas romances for the first time. And again, I will link that vlog above if you want to check it out. And yeah, it really let me down. It was the first one that I read for the challenge, and it didn't give me hope for the rest of it. Thankfully, there are books coming up that did redeem and made the challenge worth it. But is this a book that I will ever reread? Absolutely not. Is it a series? Because I didn't know it was a series. Is it a series I'm going to continue? Also no. But it was alright for what it was. Nothing special. About the only thing I really liked in here was that one of the characters is a fashion designer, and I liked those elements, but that was it. Enough said. That scored 2.5 and 4.57 on the core pile system. Next up we have my second of the Christmas romances. This one was 12 Days of Christmas, and I didn't like this to begin with, but as the book went on it got better with every chapter. I really liked the blog posts that were in it. I quite liked the romance eventually. And the only thing I really hated in this is it did have a massive miscommunication thing, where there were multiple times through the book that the main character was like, I should talk to him about this, I should tell him about this, and then chose not to. And then when it all inevitably blew up in her face, sat there crying about it. And it's like, you made that choice, it's your fault. Like, there's no point crying over it when you set that up for yourself. But like I said, I did quite enjoy it. It did get good, and the blog posts were really fun to read. That one I gave 3.5 stars, which was a 6.43 on core pile. Next up we have one of my Christmas presents. This was from Charlotte, and I will admit I did open it a little bit early, but I couldn't help it, and I read it the day I got it. And that is Perfect World Volume 1 by Rie Aruga. And I really enjoyed this. It was brilliant for the disability rep, and I liked how honest it was. Like, it didn't shy away from the problems people face when they are in a wheelchair. It was just a very interesting look from the perspective of a young person being stuck in a wheelchair, trying to navigate his dream career. And the romance in this was very cute and very sweet, and I am very, very excited to continue this series. I think it's going to be a beautiful series. I also have a sneaking suspicion it's going to break me, but hey, we know I break easily anyway, so Thank you again, Charlotte, for this. I really did love it. I gave this one 4 stars, and on Corpile it got 5.7. Coming in at number 5, we have a book that I can't show you because it's currently sat in a box ready to be shipped off to a friend for their Christmas present that is going to get there so late, and that is The American Roommate Experience by Elena Armas. I didn't realise that this was a sequel to The Spanish Love Deception, so I was a little bit like, oh, when I realised, but I feel like it read really well without needing to read Spanish Love Deception. However, I did get it for Christmas from Shah. Thank you, Shah. So I can now catch up. But I thought this was really, really sweet. I thought the romance between the two, even though the situation that draws them together is a bit out there, a bit outlandish, we're going to overlook that. And I don't like the fact that when they realised that they were starting to have feelings for each other, they both kind of were like, oh, we can't say anything. It was like, well, just whatever, be together. And there were a couple of times where there was a bit like, you know, trying to protect each other meant that they were hiding secrets. And I was like, for God's sake, guys, just tell each other. But I thought that it was a really cute romance. It had some, it wasn't explicitly spicy. Okay, no, there were a couple of points where it was a little bit. There was a shower scene in particular that was like, holy. But there were certain scenes that I thought were spicy without being tacky, and I thought it was really, really well written. I know this author has had some critique, but I thought it was a really good book, and I just had a lot of fun with it. I gave it 4 stars again, and it got 7.93 on Corpile. Next up at number 4 is the one and only book that got a 4.5, and was the book that redeemed the other books for the Christmas romance, because this one, The Winter Garden by Heidi Swain, was extraordinary. I loved it from pretty much page 1. It had a brilliant cast of characters. It had all sorts of like festive activities strewn throughout. It gave me some ideas for some things that I want to now try. It got me excited about gardening again. And I loved the romance here, and I liked that the main character, the main romance, Finn, was described as like Viking-esque, which is very much what appeals to me. I do feel there was a little bit of the chemistry between the two felt a little bit forced at times. And there was, when like things started to get going, it kind of went, as does in these romances, it went from, I don't really want to be with you to, I absolutely love you and adore you even though we've only known each other for a few weeks. And that can throw me off a little bit. But in this, I think it was really, really well done overall. It had the right sort of conflicts without it being annoying. It didn't fall to that victim of the miscommunication trope, because once she realised that there was a problem, she immediately went to him and was like, we need to talk this through. And he went, yes, you're right. So they were willing to communicate with each other, and they listened to each other. And I really liked it. I've even got a bit where I've marked the page with some washi tape because it lists some books that I now really want to get a hold of. I didn't realise this is the 3rd book in a series, but again, I think it reads really well as a standalone. I don't know if I will go back and read the rest of the series. Who knows? But certainly this will be a reread for me. I did enjoy it very, very much. Like I said, this one was 4.5 stars and got 8.14 on the Corpile scale. The rest of these books are all 5 stars, and we are kickstarting well, there are 2 that got the exact same score. We have The Agency for Scandal by Laura Wood and Legendborn by Tracy Dion. These both got 5 stars, both got a 9, but I'm going to quickly talk through each one, and I'm going to start with Legendborn. This was a reread. First time I read it, I think it got a 4 or a 4.5, and I found it was very overwhelming with how much lore was in there. I'm still quite confused. I still don't quite know the difference between a squire, a knight, a page, a scion. I'm still like, I'm not quite sure. But the one thing that redeemed this for me is I absolutely loved the interactions between Bree and Selwyn in particular. Still don't like Nick. I'm still uncomfortable with the age gaps in this. You know, it just doesn't sit well with me that a 16-year-old at university is being hit on by two 18-year-olds. It just makes me uncomfortable. I really, really enjoyed this the second time round. I thought the characters were great and I actually understood the ending more. I think last time it sort of went, it's a medium paced book until suddenly in the last like 10 chapters, it's all of the action just gets thrown at you. And it did get very convoluted and confusing for me the first time. This time I followed it pretty well and I actually had a chill go down me towards the end, and now I cannot wait to get hold of Bloodmarked. This one got a 5-star on the reread because at least I wasn't so overwhelmed by the lore that I couldn't enjoy the story like last time, and I just had a far more enjoyable experience. And then the other 5-star was The Agency for Scandal by Laura Wood. This is set in the 1800s. It's a secret society of women who basically are spies. They seek out scandals, they prove scandals, they protect other women who have no other choice than to follow the rules that have been laid out by men, and these guys set out to make things right. And I loved the romance in this. I loved the main character, which you do not often hear me say, is that I loved the main character. Izzy was so good in this. Like, she is a lesser known lady and it's a lesser known family, which means she can blend in both with the upper class and the middle class, and when she disguises herself as a boy she can passably do it. And I just thought it was a really clever, interesting way of doing this. And yeah, I just really had a fun, great time. It was really well built, it was really well paced, there was always something going on. Every character had a really clear personality and had clear definitions, and I just had a really, really lovely time with this, which is weird considering I don't often read historical fiction and I'm not normally a fan of books set in that kind of period, and yet I absolutely love this, and I really hope this gets picked up for a movie because I think it'll be a brilliant movie. Think Enola Holmes, and it had very similar vibes, except the main character is much more likeable than Enola Holmes. She's not got a cocky arrogance about her, and I just really enjoyed it. And then finally, the highest rated book of the month, to nobody's surprise, is a Nalini Singh. This is the finale of the first arc of the Psy Changeling series. So this kind of had a wrap up of pretty much where it didn't have every single character because it's obviously too expansive a world to have every character. But for a lot of characters that maybe we've not heard from for quite a while, we got a little bit of a where are they now, what are they up to? And she has ways of weaving these characters together that I wouldn't have even considered. And it's wonderful and magical. And it was absolutely the perfect end of this arc and the perfect setup for the next. But yes, this was a 5-star, 9.14. Yes, it got 9.14. However, it did not get Book of the Month. What did get Book of the Month was a book that I got a copy of at Yalc, held on to for months because I was really unsure I was going to enjoy, only for it to then completely sideswipe me, blow me away, and was just an absolute joy to read, and that was The Agency for Scandal by Laura Wood. Honestly, I think you should check it out. It is such a fantastic book. I also realised, because I'm filming this on the 5th of January, and I've realised that is the date that it releases. So happy book birthday to The Agency for Scandal and to Laura Wood. It is now out in the wild. The published cover is stunning. Check this out. How beautiful is this? That is a book cover. And yeah, so it is now out in the wild, so please go check it out. It is such a good book and I really did have a fantastic time with it. So that is my December wrap up and the final wrap up for 2022, which is crazy. Let me know in the comments what your book of the month for December was, and until next time, I hope you're good, I hope you stay safe, and I will see you on the next video.